The answers to some of the quizzes, please. And it's great to see so many people seen at many different shows. Some of you at all three, which is kind of great. Who's been to Asheville? Oh, all right. The numbers get bigger each time, so we're about half of the audience has been to Asheville. I'm going to go through a lot of stuff. I'm going to tell you a little bit of the story about Asheville, but really I'm telling you a story about your place. Y'all are about, maybe a decade or so behind Asheville from a growth standpoint. There's a lot of similarities and parallels between my community and your community. Before I get into some stories about Asheville and our lessons about what we do, I want to talk about how I view cities. And I view cities like a DNA. We're all places in time, right? Huntington started somewhere and it's going to go somewhere. So where is it going? What does Huntington want to be when it grows up? And more importantly, this is me. And I had hair, and this is my path, right? So I'm going to be my grandfather whether I like it or not. You all do this, right? More importantly, I look at this guy. This is my dad. And I've got two genetic issues. I'm genetically Italian. You can tell from my name and how I use my hands a lot. But we also suffer from a genetic predisposition to heart disease. So I know that that's in my DNA. This is going to be something I'm going to have to deal with because every male in my family has always had to deal with it. So I can take that knowledge and operate with it and make some smart choices for today that will help me in the future. You all get that? So as you talk about your community, who's your role model? What are you trying to avoid? What are you doing to not have future issues? And this is the conversation that your community should have as you make each decision going forward. Are you growing well into the future, or are you giving yourself a heart attack in the future? We in Asheville, if anybody's from Atlanta, sorry, we like to pick on Atlanta and Charlotte and not repeat those mistakes that they did there. We don't want to have the traffic congestion that they have there. Right? That's what we use as our model. There's good models and bad models. Secondly, I'm going to give you a little test. Again, for those of you that listen to this morning, don't shout it out. But I'll give you about 5 seconds. Just tell me how many shapes you see in this kid's puzzle. And as some of you have been drinking, just tell me how many shapes you see in this kid's puzzle. Ready, go. Hundreds. You want to be more specific? 20? You can speak up, just shout it out.
275.
275.
14.
All right, we got 14 as a low, 275 as a high. Anybody want to go higher than 275?
It's all squares.
It's all squares, that's good. How many kids are on the bus? Anyone? The 275 person, what time was it on the clock?
What?
So, Daniel Kahneman, who's a behavioral economist, who's a Nobel Prize-winning behavioral economist, wrote a book called Thinking Fast and Slow. We have two modes in our brains, the way that we operate. What I did is I put you in fast mode. I asked you a question. We are programmed to answer questions. You all got really excited. Somebody shouted out 275. That's actually the highest number that I've ever gotten. But y'all didn't see that there were 5 kids on the bus because I didn't answer that question. You didn't see that it was 10 after 10 on the clock because I didn't answer that question. That information was hiding in plain sight, and we conveniently just ignored it all because I put you in a mode of asking questions. Did y'all get that? When we talk about cities, when we talk about decisions, when you go to a city council meeting and you see a decision that's happening, oftentimes it's in fast mode. They're making that decision, there's an agenda that night, they want to make a decision and move on, and they're not seeing the other information that's there. They're not seeing the ramifications of future decisions because they're not asking that question. Y'all get that? What I'm about to show you is all data that's hiding in plain sight. There's no magic in what we're doing. We're just asking different questions. So Asheville, this is where I'm from, right there in the western North Carolina mountains. Beautiful setting, Smoky Mountains, Blue Ridge Parkway, bluegrass music, beer. We've got 20 breweries in town. There's 5,000 people per brewery. We drink a lot. And like any typical little mountain town, we have men that dress as nuns on tall bikes that eat fire. Typical little place, right? So Asheville, this is how we started. This is the shot down Main Street. 15 years after this picture was taken, this is what it became. We like to say the 3 T's made Asheville: trains, tourism, and tuberculosis. And once the trains came there, it brought a flood of tourists escaping the polluted mountain cities, particularly like Cincinnati, Cleveland. that they would come down for the summers in the coast along Charleston. They'd come up in the mountains for cool air. We had the second streetcar line in the entire country. Presidents come to visit. We've had Obama 3 times for our barbecue. It's been a while. During the 1920s, we grew 20% in population every single year through the decade. It was expansive growth. We were the second largest city in North Carolina. The only city that was bigger than Asheville was Winston-Salem. Did y'all know that? So we were bigger than Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham. In that process, we achieved the highest debt per capita in the entire United States. We were number 1 in debt. When the Depression hit and our books were audited, we thought we had $5 million in the bank. It turned out we had $18,000 in the bank. A little clerical error there. Our city council was indicted, the mayor committed suicide. That's leadership, Asheville style. So, we fell flat on our face. We weren't alone. Thomas Wolfe, famous American author, native of Asheville, this is what he had to say about his hometown. Asheville has squandered fabulous sums. They've flung away the earnings of a lifetime. They've mortgaged those of a generation to come. They have ruined the city. And in doing so, they've ruined themselves, their children, and their children's children. That's a hell of a thing to say about your hometown, right? He actually wrote it in a book called The Homeward Angel. Of course, the people of Asheville were very proud of the fact that he wrote that. Kidding. They actually told his parents never to let him set foot in town again because they could hang him. And his second book is called You Can't Go Home Again for obvious reasons. True story. Read your American literature. Anyway, so it's not that he was clairvoyant in a way that he nailed it. He literally nailed it. What would happen to our community would be a multi-generational malaise that would hit the community. We chose to pay off that debt. We were one of the few communities in the entire country that paid off their obligated bonds from the 1920s. It would take us until 1976 to pay off that debt. And I love this. This is the actual newspaper from July 2nd, 1976, to show you the damage to the children's children. Like, here they are. It's like these 3 guys. Let's get Miss Asheville to wear a tiara and we're going to burn this last bond. And let's teleprompter in Billy Graham because it's a big thing when Billy Graham shows up. So there it is. But check this out. It's the 3rd story that day in the newspaper. It's not even the top story. It had shackled the town for 40 years. The lead story was somebody dying in a prison fire in some other county. It wasn't even ours. We couldn't even be proud of this. But when we did pay off that debt, we tried to catch up with other communities. We started building highways. We built a highway to the north side of downtown, which became the Crosstown Expressway. We blew a hole through Bowcatcher Mountain. We call this the Bowcatcher Cut. I love that it's on a postcard. Y'all gotta come visit this, right? Wish you were here. Anyway, on the other side of the cut, the mall happened, and our downtown died. Familiar story? Yeah, it's happened in cities all across the country. Look at these wonderful fixer-uppers. For those of you that have been to Asheville, this wasn't that long ago. That's a 1996 Chevy Celebrity. And look at that. I mean, you could blow a cannon off and not hit a person on the street. We like to say that our amateur was aluminum. We just kind of covered things up with aluminum and hope that they just disappeared or something. And like a Greek choir, anytime we try to become more urban, anytime we try to solve our downtown or grow our downtown up, oh, sorry, I'll get to that in a second. So here's all these boarded up buildings. They're just fallow. And anytime we try to fix our city, this Greek choir would rise back up again. And they'd say, that'll never work here. We're not Philadelphia. We're not Manhattan. We're not a city. Y'all have some of these people in your community?
Yes.
So you're not alone. This is happening in community after community. You have folks that just lose sight of who they are. So one of our magic solutions was doing a downtown mall, and which is pretty large. It basically would have wiped out this much of downtown. This had to go on to a voter referendum. It actually lost 70 to 30. 70% of our community said we don't want this. That changed our politics. The mayor and the city council hired a city manager and a downtown director to focus on downtown revitalization. Roger McGuire was an investor who started buying up buildings downtown, started holding workshops. But the key thing that Roger did is he invested in housing downtown. He proved that people would live there. Our firm was founded by this guy. This is Julian Price. He passed away in 2001. It was really kind of weird. He actually died on the exact same day as Roger for a different year. But Julian started a for-profit real estate development company where 75% of our money goes into the sticks and bricks, 25% goes into businesses. So we have a nightclub, the first vegetarian restaurant, but we're mostly about having housing downtown. This is one of our buildings before, after. So we were told by banks this wouldn't work. We actually tried to get permanent financing for this. We needed $4 million to finish the project, and the banks literally told us, well, if you put $4 million in the bank, we'll give you $4 million as a loan. Make sense to you? We didn't do that. Anyway, the other thing that Julian had was that he had his own publication, and we did a lot of communication. We still do it, but it's mostly to talk about cities and how they operate. This is what downtown looked like in 1993 when he wrote this piece. And I love this quote that he uses from Arthur Farmer. He's trying to educate the community about billboards and not just trashing themselves. But I love this quote. Among cities with no particular recreation appeal, those that have preserved their past continue to enjoy tourism. Those that haven't receive almost no tourism at all. Tourism doesn't go to a city that's lost its soul. In a way, you can hear Thomas Wolfe coming back. This is a quote from Arthur Farmer. 15 years after we published this, Farmer's Magazine was listed as the #5 place to visit. This year we got listed #1. We will have 9 million tourists coming through Asheville this year alone. Only 90,000 people. We're in an MSA the same size as your MSA. This could be you in the future if you push for it. So our firm is doing rehab, we're doing buildings, and we're constantly trying to talk to our elected officials about what's really going on from an economic standpoint. How do we bring data to them so they can understand how cities operate? So what was going on with our city, this is the value of our downtown in 1991. These first two steps right here were by fixing up those upper stories. What we have here, if you just put something upstairs, what happens to the tax base? So the buildings were already there. We didn't get a new building until 2008. To show you the children's children and how they reacted, this guy, I love Chris Peterson. These are some of his campaign ads from the 90s. And I love this taxpayer shackled to this downtown investment of parking garages, streetscape projects. $26 million of the investment in downtown was a burden on the taxpayers. I mean, who's got $26 million in their pocket? Anyone? It's a lot of money, right? But let's do the math. Okay. If your downtown is worth $100 million and you invest $26 million and you get back $400 million of return, is investing 26 and getting back 400, is that a good return on investment? I think so. So why the hell do we listen to Chris? Like, the guy still complains. He still doesn't want to see downtown investment. I think he's wrong. And I have data to prove it, right? So why we do that, why we talk about this in our community is quite simple. This is from Oxford American Dictionary, the word incorporate. Incorporate means to constitute a company, a city, or other organization as a legal corporation. My government is a corporation. We have a boundary, we have a charter, we elect a board of directors, y'all have a CEO and a mayor. And your city is essentially a functional corporation sitting inside a larger corporation called a county. Y'all are shareholders, whether you like it or not. If you live in the city, you're in two corporations. You better understand that. It's got a cash flow, right? I hope this doesn't sound painful to talk about money like this, but it's all about how cities operate financially and architecturally. So my city is essentially a finite boundary of land that has to operate. It's a series of acres that has to cash flow. That's how the value is created in the city. This is how you can afford stuff. My city's worth, well, I guess I won't say this because many of you now know the answer. My city is worth $12.8 billion in taxable value. What's your city worth? So my city is 4 times the dominant in value. If my city were a Fortune 500 company, it'd be in the top 200. So why don't we talk about this stuff? Why don't I understand that my city actually has value and should be cultivating even more value? So we talk about buildings like products on land. When the farmer has soil, the farmer doesn't go out and till all of the soil. and say, and just make crops happen. But a farmer is making an economic decision based on how much it costs to grow a plant, and how much it fertilizes it, and how much the crop yield is per acre when it gets in the marketplace. So this is one of our buildings. Here's what Chris complained about right here. We got this subsidy, a garbage can, a bike rack, 2 benches, and a street tree. Thank you very much, city, for $20,000 at our front door. We made retail, office, and residential in this building. We took it from $300,000 in value to $11 million in value. What that means is the taxes on that property grew by 3,500%. So our community now enjoys 3,500% more money off a building. That's not money we get. That goes out to the community for 3,500% more garbage cans or whatever the hell you want to buy. We don't care. Pink flamingos, have at it. We can get more stuff off one building. Anybody have a 401k plan or a Christmas savings fund that grows by 3,500%? This is good wealth for my community. And people say to me, they're like, well, Joe, that's fine, that's $11 million. We've got this Walmart over here, $20 million, right? Very expensive. Walmart's pay $220,000 in taxes. This is my house. These are my dogs. My dogs think they're lions. They're very weird dogs. But Walmart pays $220,000 in taxes. I pay $2,000 in taxes. I'm on a tenth of an acre. So if you had a 1 acre cookie cutter that fell from space, landed in my neighborhood, it grabbed 10 houses, right? Y'all follow me there? 10 houses times $2,000, about $20,000 an acre. And if you take that 1 acre cookie cutter, fly it in space and drop it on Walmart and divide it by the 34 acres it sits on, this is what Walmart pays per acre in taxes. Y'all follow me? This is what our building pays in taxes per acre. So, you all win an election, you're running a government, what kind of cash flow do you want to have? I was in Denver last month, or Colorado last month, and I wanted to make it real simple for folks in Colorado. I said, look, you got an acre of land to grow something in Colorado, what are you going to grow? This goes over to Nashville too, by the way. So, I know you're probably saying, well, Joe, look, we take the loss in property tax so we can get the gains in retail tax. Let's go ahead and remove me because I don't sell anything, and let's do the retail tax comparison. Again, Walmart sells that, but the city only gets a portion of that. We're about $47,500. Add that to the property taxes, so Walmart's producing a total of $51,000 an acre. This is just our property tax per acre. You add our retail taxes because we have retail businesses. Now you're cooking with gas, jobs per acre. How do y'all want to look at this? When you analyze your downtown, when you look at it, you make things apples to apples, you see how much potency, not only architecturally and culturally, this produces for you about who you are, it also produces wealth for your community. You just have to do the numbers. So look at this. We also have residential per acre, they've got 0. So that's the city side. Our city sits inside a county, so you run the numbers on that. This is the average city resident when we pay to our county per acre versus the average county resident who's out in the county. We like to pick on the Biltmore Estate, their lovely tax break, America's biggest house needs the biggest tax break, but we'll just go ahead and walk past that. Here's the mall, and what the mall produces, $8,000 an acre in county taxes versus residential, so commercial does produce more revenue. But let's not stop there, let's go back to downtown. So here's our building and what it produces in county taxes, $250,000 an acre versus the mall at $8,000. So you find what's good for downtown is great for the city, but it's unbelievable for your county. So this isn't complex math that I'm doing here. It's 5th grade division. I don't have a finance degree. I'm an architect. So you have to do these numbers to understand what's going on in your community. It's about efficiency and productivity. We already do this, right? We talk about cars. We don't talk about cars on a miles per tank basis, do we? If we did, we'd all be driving Ford F-150s at 650 miles per tank. You would say to me, Joe, that's silly. All tanks are different sizes. That's lunacy to talk about miles per tank because you have a big truck and I have a tiny little BMW setup. So when you say miles per gallon, the numbers change. And we should all be driving BMW setups at 70 miles per gallon. Sorry to the Prius owners, but this little cute little car, which is very dangerous, produces 70 miles per gallon. This is how we talk about efficiency. Why don't we do the same with our architecture? So we've done this all across the country. And we see this trend. For every dollar of county tax somebody out in the county is paying to the county, a city resident is paying about $5 per acre. The Walmart's about $6, the mall's about $9. But as soon as you get to a two-story building, this could be some tiny little town in Driggs, Idaho, or downtown Durham, North Carolina. As soon as you get to a two-story building, it shoots up. This is a 3-story building and a 6-story building. What's crazy is it's not a proportional growth, it's an exponential growth. Your urban environment produces the wealth of your community, period. Right? So, to quote Chief Justice Brandeis, using just the relentless rules of humble arithmetic, if you just do the math on this stuff, you'll see it. We'll take the city and move the city out of the way, and we'll use technology, GIS technology, to come see how the city is operating. We're used to things like streets and infrastructure, or mapping buildings, right? Buildings are built on streets. But then there's the ologies. There's people that map hydrology and geology. This is typically what GIS is used for. But you can actually split the nature and the man-made apart, and you can map policy. I can show you economics as a model, right? So let's do Asheville. Here's my county. This is non-taxable. This is a big park. This is part of the Blue Ridge Parkway right here. So it's producing 0 tax, so we'll just go ahead and grade this out. Low value is in green. The hotter the color, the higher the value. So in purple, we have over $76 million of value. So this is the total value of our county. It's a $30 billion county. This property right here is the Biltmore Estate. This is worth over $76 million. So when Mr. Cecil showed up to talk about the Biltmore Estate, all of my politicians bowed down to him because his building is worth $76 million. But it's also sitting on 8,000 acres of land. So of course, that's the biggest tank out there. So when we go from miles per tank, or total value, let's go to value per acre, which is miles per gallon, the map changes. I'll just show it to you in 3D. Can y'all tell me where downtown might be? Want to take a guess? Boom. Right? There it is. That's where our community gets all its wealth. And you can see, if this is Papa Bear, this is Mama Bear out here, this is Black Mountain, you can see where its main street is right there, in that red spike. So if you're to lay your taxes across this whole thing, we all pay the same property taxes on a millage rate standpoint. I'm paying the same rate that you're paying. If you just lay that blanket of your taxes across this whole thing, where do you get the biggest potency of your taxes? Right there, right? So we work with Bree and Brad in the planning office in Huntington, and all this going forward, I have to give them credit because they produced all of this stuff. So here's Cabell and Wayne County. This is the total tax value. So you see the strip line right here, very valuable. You see this non-taxable stuff like the airport and all this stuff. That's the total value. Now if you go value per acre, this is what it looks like. The map changes. Here it is in 3D. So this is looking north toward the river. Can y'all spot downtown? No, right there. Right, here's the 60, State Road 60 kind of stretch of suburbia going out. So this is looking from the side of the river here, so that's looking east. And then this is looking from Ohio, and it's almost like this is a beachhead. It's like beachfront real estate right here. There's huge value coming out of your downtown. Did y'all get that? This is nerdy stuff. Are you expecting this? So zooming into the city now, again, this is the total value or miles per tank. So you see CSX is very valuable. It's also a huge parcel of land. So let's go value per acre. The map changes. Here it is in 3D. So the St. James building is killing it from a tax productivity standpoint. Now, the city will have all of this stuff if you want these maps, if you want to fool around with it. This is something super nerdy that we made. This is sorry, we get really excited about this, Joe. This is value over time. Let's just stop it right back there in 1920. So, in 1920, I keep on forgetting the name of this community. Barbersville, that's right, yeah. So you can see Barbersville Main Street popping up here in value. And look at what's going on in downtown. These are buildings that are still here today, that are producing wealth that were created in the 1920s. Let's kind of zoom in a little bit more. Let's get to right here. So here we have the war. What's crazy to me is there's a gap here. See the gap between this purple spike and this purple spike? What's missing here is a story of all the buildings you tore down. So these are the buildings that became surface parking lots. They're wealth that we would have today if we didn't knock it down. Did y'all get that? So let's just let this play out. So you see the highway getting built, State Road 60, start to draw your sprawl out, and then gradually more of it sliding this way over 2000 and the highway gets built. And that's the reality of the community as well. We've essentially transferred it out of the city and down the highway. Taxable, non-taxable, this is the two counties. You're about 20% exempt. This stuff doesn't produce taxes, although it produces the quality of life. These are your parks, these are your public buildings. When you get into the city, it's about the same. 25% of it is non-taxable, university, public lands. When you get into the city, it's again about the same. This is actually all right. In Asheville, we're 44% exempt in our downtown, which is kind of crazy. A little bit too much land in non-taxable real estate. So your city is about 6% of the land area of the entire county. This is the footprint of the city. Here's its tax potency. So for those city residents, you're producing 30% of the county's wealth on 6% of the land area. When you get into the city itself, the downtown property owners, we all take up 8% of the city, but you're producing 17% of the wealth. Now for downtown inside the county, this is kind of impressive. And by the way, we use marshal colors on the graphics. So it's kind of fun. Downtown takes up 1% of the entire Cabot County, yet it produces 8% of the wealth. It doesn't look big, but it actually is very big. That means it's a 1 to 8 potency. So it's like one little piece is producing 8 times its punch. Retail sales don't matter that much for y'all. These are all the different states across the country. This is retail in green. You guys get a little bit of retail. You're nothing like Lafayette, Louisiana, which is all of that green there. So this is the municipal service fees where you get your who's paying the bills for that. Employment per acre, which yields occupancy taxes, so where you get your money there. And then this is your property taxes. Again, downtown's killing it. And then this is the total cash flow. So where do you get your money to run your city? It's all coming out of the downtown, basically, from a potency level. So let's kind of recap some buildings. These are your Walmarts. You know, people ask me, they're like, Joe, you got a problem with Walmart? What's your deal, man? And like I told the story today. I actually presented it. This is what a nerd I am. I presented at the International Assessing Officers Conference, and the head of Walmart's real estate was there. And I had to deliver this presentation, something similar to this guy. And I had to apologize before I got into this. And I said, dude, I just don't want you to feel bad about this, but it's not about you. It's about, I don't hate the player, I hate the game. And Walmart is taking advantage of our system. Basically, put simply, the cheaper the building you make, the lower the taxes you pay. So they make cheap buildings. I'm totally unabashed about that. That's just the reality of what's going on here. So these are really cheap buildings. They're about $50 a square foot. So the value is really low. It's about $600,000 an acre and $400,000 an acre. And this morning I said, let me just guess which one's older. I think that one is. And everybody's like, yeah. Well, I can tell from the number. These buildings depreciate once as soon as you build them. So this is the newer one. This will slowly get to that number. Here's your mall. Your mall's $200,000 an acre, which is very low value. Here's the Walmart. We'll keep that on there as a control subject. And here's your Best Buy at about $1 million an acre. So this stuff will eventually decay to become this stuff. This is the big lots out 60 east of town, next to the Kmart. This is the Kmart at $400,000. The big lots is about $300,000. So the Walmart, which is about $600,000, will eventually become this $300,000 value. Just to put this in perspective, I love this wonderful piece of architecture here. Something really to be proud about, guys. I don't know what happened here, but this is just up forth. It's basically some kind of awful little apartment building, but it's about $900,000 of value per acre versus the big lots at $300 and the Walmart at $600. This building that we're in right here, in the state that it's in right now, is worth close to $2 million an acre. An empty building, except for us tonight, is worth double a Walmart. Doesn't that freak you guys out at all? I mean, come on. So imagine if this building gets rehabbed. Imagine the potency that will be produced when this building gets rehabbed. That's the value of your community. This is how you cultivate your taxes and your wealth. This building that we're in will eventually be like this building. There's a little three-story building. This is around the corner. This has a vapor bar in it. It's $6 million of value per acre. This is out by the campus. This is about $1.6 million per acre. And of course, tall buildings. This is the West Virginia building, $10.6 million of value per acre. Which brings me to another point, your old buildings. Some lost civilization of Martians left you an unbelievable set of architecture. We don't know who these people are, but somehow they got past one story. And look what they've left you. This is the Frederick built in 1906. There's a streetcar. It's lost civilization. I don't know who these people are. They travel in mass transit somehow. $2.5 million of value per acre in the state that it's currently in. And as it rehabs, it will become more valuable. This building, the St. James, I love this. Y'all, that's a horse. There is a horse. This lost civilization with horses built that, which is worth $22 million of value per acre today. That's the wealth that you have in your community that was left by this lost civilization. What's the wealth that you're leaving for future generations with the buildings that we do today? For your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids, what's being created by you all today that will become future wealth for your community in the future? This building does not depreciate at the same rapidity that the Walmart does. Walmart is designed to fall apart in 15 years. They're totally honest about that. This building wasn't designed to fall apart in 15 years. Y'all get that? So let's recap. Here's the average county resident and what they pay in county taxes to Capital County per acre, single-family residential. Here's the average city resident. So for those that are living in city single-family housing, you actually produce 10 times the county tax than somebody out in the county. Here's the Aldi. This is Huntington Mall. This is Big Lots. This is Walmart on 60. And then this is that weird little dingbat apartment building by the campus. Producing twice the taxes that a Walmart is producing on a per acre basis. So there's a little dingbat again. Let's try to go up from there. We did Pullman with its garages and Pullman without its garages. And theoretically, to be fair, the garages are subsidizing that building. But it's still more productive than the mall is down here. This is the core of downtown. This is the Black Sheep. This is the Pritchard, an empty building, producing $10,000, let's say $11,000 an acre in county taxes. The Frederick, Dodrill's, Pullman Square. This is the Huntington Savings and Loans, the three-story building with the vapor bar in it. And then this is the West Virginia. When we first did the model, we actually had this one. But the King James just obliterated everybody. Here it is, or St. James. Here it is at $115,000 an acre in county taxes. Y'all get that? It's a lot of money. So 6.7 acres of the building that we're in right now, in the state that it's in right now, would equal the 30-acre Walmart. Apples to apples. When you rehab the building, it drops down to 2 acres of this, equals the 22-acre new Walmart. You only have so much land, how are you going to use it? How are you going to cultivate wealth for your community? Pullman, you'll need 11 acres of Pullman to equal the 117-acre mall. So, we did this studies in other places. We did Durango. One of the things we recommended to your community is actually talk to some of your businesses and get extra data. So we did this, and we compared the Walmart to the coffee shop and the bookstore in Durango. And this is the footprint of the coffee shop and the bookstore combined, and then this is the Walmart footprint. Here's the property taxes paid per acre of each of them. Walmart's paying about $1,800 an acre. These two little businesses are paying $23,000. Retail taxes, those two little businesses are killing it at about $18,000 an acre versus $5.7 for Walmart. And even in jobs, 233 jobs per acre versus 15. That's just the reality of using the numbers to tell your story. So on the flip side of this, what does the city cost? You know, this is something y'all should be talking about. This is in Lafayette, we're doing this study. Lafayette, Louisiana is actually going broke. The mayor's kind of figured it out. When we did the analysis, we're like, well, actually you guys figured it out once before. In 1994, these are the cover of their budget documents for the county. I love this. This is a real document that wasn't public. This is like the finance director put the government in here with this weird kind of 1920s bathing suit, about to get hit by the tsunami, and then the sharks get hit. I guess this is the proto-Sharknado. And then, you know, of course the politicians just kind of kick the can down the road. We don't want to make a tough decision. We're not going to tell people to stop sprawling out. That's what we do. So the finance director the next year was like, hey, did I mention how screwed we are? And so what they did is they did a forced city-county merger to take all of the assets of the city, liquidate them into the county, basically taking a little dinghy and hooking it onto the Titanic. And boy, everybody was happy because they did a joint city-county merger. And I asked them, I said, look, y'all, you just delayed the pain 20 years. Here you are 20 years later with the same financial problems. What did you do? Did you just fire the artist that did these two covers and the clip art? Like, what the hell did you do? So if I'm a developer building this godforsaken place right here, this is in Arizona somewhere, I've got soft costs, I got to pay my architect, all that thing. I've got hard costs. I've got the cost of the physical stuff, the buildings, the curbs, all that. I have my profit, divided by the rooftops, I'm good to go. That's how the business works inside of real estate development. I got to pay for that stuff that I put it down. When y'all plug this thing onto the street, you send out your chief financial officer to figure out what it costs to police, to put fire service, all that stuff. What does it cost for all the hard stuff, all the infrastructure to get out of here? Do you guys send them a bill for that? Short answer is no. We send out a tax assessor to come up with a value, and you just hope that the millage rate works. You just hope that the taxes cover the cost. It's a total crapshoot. I'm not the first person to question this. It actually goes back to this guy. In 1974, the Nixon administration published a document called the Cost of Sprawl. There he is. Do you all know that sprawl came from that term? They knew that in 1974. Basically, the federal government was trying to tell us that it's a signal that these are land use decisions that we were making, and they're making financial decisions that were harming us. So this is Lafayette. Here's their model. This is their entire county. Here's downtown. This is some new urban stuff. Under the model, this is a side view of it. We've got all the taxes that everybody pays, so we've got all the costs. We sent everybody a bill for their infrastructure, and we netted the revenue, the green into the red stuff to see whether you're in the black or in the red. And really good color in the black and in the red. And this is the whole county in 3D. The counties are called parishes, and we said that the parish is bleeding. And there it is. That's what bankruptcy looks like. They are teetering on bankruptcy. If you just drop this whole model on the floor, this is how it pops up. So you can see where they're getting revenue and where they're hemorrhaging costs. So this is what subsidy looks like. These properties are being subsidized by the core of the city. So putting this aside, one of the things that's kind of interesting, the majority of the costs of all this stuff are the streets and the stormwater. They're living in bayous. To drain all of that stuff is super expensive. To run streets out to it is really expensive as well. This is where they're planning new growth. You know, ignorantly, they're sending all of their growth into their highest cost areas. So where do you think people are going to go? If you're not charging me for it, of course I'm going to take it. So put simply, in 1949, they had 34,000 people. They had 5 feet of pipe per person and 2.4 fire hydrants per 1,000 people. While they were growing, while they were spreading themselves out, they had actually grown their population to 121,000 people. However, they've grown their miles of pipe by 10 times per person, and their fire hydrants by 20 times per person. So 350% growth in population, 1,000% growth in pipes, and 2,000 in fire hydrants. Y'all get that? Now they told me, they're like, Joe, look, we've gotten rich. We've actually had all this oil money. We've grown our wealth so we can afford more stuff. All right, let's check it out. So you used to be value per household, and again, adjusting to today's numbers, about $28,000 per household in economic value. They have grown their wealth to $45,000. That's only grown their value by 2 times. So this is like getting a raise for $1,000 a year and going off and buying a 10,000 square foot addition on your house. they have a real serious problem. You all do too. The average house value is about $150,000. The average taxes paid is about $1,500. Of that, what goes to the roads is about $500 per road. They own 6.5 square miles of roads. That's 12 times the French Quarter of surface that they've got to fix. The cost of fixing all of that is about $3,000 per household. How do you all like it if the government was like all of a sudden, hey, you owe us $3,000 a year in road fees? But that's just stuff on the surface. You have pipes under the ground that's going to be $4,000. So part of the reason why they've been going bankrupt is they haven't been charging these fees, but they've been building all that infrastructure, and the pipers coming due. They owe, the average household owes about $7,000 a household. They've just bought too much stuff. So when we allow this pattern to happen, when people say, whoa, Joe, I like this stuff, I really want to live like this, I don't want to have a neighbor. That would be great, that would make me happy, I want to spread out, right? I want to be 6 foot tall and have a full head of hair. That would make me so happy. I think y'all should pay for it. You can't afford the greenway, the art teacher, the dancing traffic cop. Y'all have a dancing traffic cop? You don't have that money because you buried it in the ground. You can't afford it. They can't afford it. So just to close, there's some really weird things that happen when you start to dig in the numbers. This is going to be fairly, as if the rest of this hasn't been nerdy enough, this is going to be a little deep. You've got two values in your real estate. You've got this building that we're sitting in, and then there's the dirt that's under the building. Your assessor comes up with two numbers. This is a map from Cheyenne, Wyoming, where we just did just the dirt. We just turned the buildings off and looked at the dirt value. And you see this out here. This is a neighborhood. Everybody's got the same color, so it's about the same value per acre, $15,000. And when you get into this little area, when I was presenting this in Cheyenne, I was like, hey, y'all, what's going on right here? Why is this $15,000 an acre, and as soon as you cross the street, it jumps up to $35,000. It doubles in value when you cross the street. And the assessor raises her hand, and she's like, no, you don't understand. I said, try me out, what am I missing? And she said, well, the more land you have, the lower the value. Does that make any sense, Joe? The mayor just about spat coffee out of his nose, he was laughing so hard. And I was like, so I got 3/4 of a mile street here, 3/4 of a mile street here, another half mile, I've got 3 miles of street, this person's got 200 feet, she goes, yeah, we don't count that. All right? I can put more stuff here, I can put a bigger building here. A bigger building means more trips, more car accidents, more fire calls because of the car accidents. She goes, yeah, we don't count that either. I said, well, where did you get this, what's this more land to lower the value? She's like, well, that's our standard. So one of the reasons why I went to the assessors conference is I asked them the same question. I'm like, where do you get this standard? Did Moses deliver to you? Where does this thing come from? Their magazine is called Fair and Equitable. For those non-economists in the room, is it fair or equitable that I can get more community service and pay low taxes for it? No. So this is the way our taxes can work. For y'all, you get the same thing. This is, look at this one for a guy right here. I can send him a little thank you card, or a little you're welcome card maybe. But again, the way that the mathematics works when we have these standards, you get things like this. This is a hot spot. That one little guy right there is over $150,000 an acre. Everybody else around him is less than $1,000 an acre. There's another neighborhood, you see another little spot right there. And everybody around this guy is about a third of his value if I cross on the property line. There's mathematics at play that control the market. I behave a certain way as a developer because of policy. It's not a free market. So in Normandy, you were taxed on your footprint for about 100 years, and people started shooting their building out over the street to avoid taxes. In England, you were taxed on your windows. The more windows you had, the higher the taxes. People started boarding up their windows to avoid taxes. In France, this is my favorite, anything below the roof line is not considered part of the building. So the architects stole Francois Mansart's roof system, the mansard roof. That's where that term comes from. And they stuck stories up there. When the assessor got out there, they're like, no, this is clearly the roof. You can't tax me for this. It's a massive hand of a master architect. These are tax policies. So just realize this stuff is hurting you. Put your gun down. So you guys are worth $1.1 billion. You're about the Pittsburgh Steelers in value. put it in perspective, my city's worth all of Pittsburgh's professional sports teams combined. We're $12.8 billion. We're 12 times the value of you guys. My downtown's worth as much as your city. Let that wash over you. We're about 11.6 years. I can guarantee you that Mr. Rooney knows Ben Roethlisberger's power bill. I know that the cups in our nightclub cost 5 cents a pop. So we need to be conversant to understand what the city costs. What does it cost to put a road out to that Walmart? And are they paying enough taxes to cover that nut? The police services alone in one Walmart consume all the property taxes. Period. They don't get any additional money for your schools or anything else. This is the reality of how your city operates. So measure it, you measure it, you manage it, you do the math, and fix your city. Thank you. Thank you all for tolerating my nerdy kind of tax stuff. It's kind of a weird format to do it in. I haven't done taxes and booze before. This is awesome. Kind of risky. Any questions? Was it interesting?
Yes.
No questions? I think I'll start.
One of the things I've noticed in Huntington, we typically tear down buildings as soon as we can. I know there's a lot of churches on one of the main arteries, and as soon as they grab it, some spare empty buildings, they torn them down. Other places have done that, but there's also a lot of vacant buildings, a lot of prime spots that you showed. I just wonder what are some of the techniques to stop tearing down some of these buildings or get people who are interested in opening up their space like this tonight doing that?
So the question is how to slow down tear downs, or at least find ways to repurpose them. Oftentimes buildings fall in the hands of people, their heirs, or they get inherited, or they don't quite know what to do with them. In the case of churches, it's a little bit more difficult. Either the congregation moves and the shepherds follow the sheep. They move out to wherever those folks move. Again, going back to that, my baby picture. Go to a city that's actually been through this. Go to a city that's found a way to repurpose those religious institutions. In Asheville, several of them have been turned into music halls because they have incredible acoustics. There's a sound studio in one of them. The Agate brothers have done their music there. A lot of bands have gone in there because of the acoustics inside that church. So that was a way that it was repurposed. And that's sensitive to the neighborhood around it. It's a low-impact business. It's not like a nightclub or something like that. And although there might be a place for one to be a nightclub, I think in Boston there's a really cool nightclub. It's an old church. But other buildings, other architectural features, this building has so much built-in wealth. To replace a brick here, what would it cost to rebuild one of these buildings? It would cost millions of dollars. So that value is already here, just reuse it. In addition to all the carbon savings, you don't have to rebuild that building. You don't have to tear it down, take it to a landfill, and rebuild some cheapo building down its place. Just repurpose the building. But oftentimes it's just a failure of creativity. An inability to see the gem that's right there in front of you. And a lot of that's just time and place. A lot of people just get worn down by their own community and they tend to drop their standards. They don't see themselves as being valuable. They only see themselves on the hard times and they lose self-confidence in what they can become. So Asheville went through that, and they went through this kind of woe is us, we're just Asheville, we'll never be anything cool. Kind of bad self-image. The same way I went through that in high school. Right? It's like I eventually became a different person. Although some of my friends in high school still see me for that same person, right? Then we run into them at the reunion, they're like, what do you mean you've got a job? It's like that kind of stuff. So a lot of it's just perception. But several of us have talked about just, y'all need to just get in a bus and go someplace else and just see the beauty that you have here when you come back to it with new eyes. Go visit Asheville, come hear what we did, go to Charleston. There's other places that have actually find your grandparents, basically.
What can the city do where there's buildings that, is there in the area or downtown or is there Florida, and they don't want to do anything, or they don't even want to sell it?
Okay, you brought me into this story here. So, in some communities, in Pennsylvania, they actually have an enabled, I don't know if you have it enabled, but it's a term called land value taxation, where you tax at the level of opportunity for the city rather than architectural. If you think about taxing on value, there's a perverse incentive to build crap in your community. If you're going to tax me less for it, the cheaper the building I make for it, the taxes I make. So Henry George was a tax economist in the 1800s, and there was land speculation going on in Boston. People that landed from the Mayflower, their families had all of this real estate all around Boston. And he's like, well, they're just speculating, they're just sitting on the land. So why don't we just tax land by location rather than the building, and then therefore those people would have a higher carrying cost for holding that property. And eventually it might make them think, I can't carry this anymore, I need to sell it to somebody who actually wants the building and use it. Pittsburgh adopted this in the 1970s. So if you think about it, I've got two buildings side by side, they're both 10 stories, and I tear one building down, what have I done to my taxes? I've eliminated my taxes, I'm almost down to nothing. So for those of you that haven't heard of Henry George or land value taxation, Elizabeth Maggie Phillips, who has spectacular eyebrows, she was a Georgist, and she realized you couldn't talk to adults about tax systems or changing tax systems because we find it all too difficult, because it's the way things are. So she invented a board game to teach children land value taxation. Y'all recognize it? Monopoly. She calls it the landlord's game. She was trying to teach us land economics and how it screws things up in cities. So the lesson in Monopoly is you assemble land, location is incredibly important, and once you put buildings on it, you win the game. So, could you do an impact fee for land speculation? I mean, there's lots of things you can do, but ultimately you have to realize there's an economic cost both ways. One, in them speculating on the building, not doing anything with it. Now, this individual who's fixing this building, or any of the buildings that get fixed downtown, spend millions of dollars fixing these buildings on it. Why should they take the risk of somebody sitting next door to them and keeping that building vacant forever? That's an opportunity loss for the whole community. So, this street is actually revitalizing. There's spots that we know what I'm talking about, where there's vacant buildings. And again, that's a community conversation you have to have about the politics. But there's going to need to identify that. Now, you could have the city could map who all the out-of-town property owners are, and just have a conversation about it. This is your corporation. This is your community. So operate it the best way for you all.
What you're saying, it sounds like the skyscraper, higher total buildings are more important than one or two buildings. It's not like that. Basis. The ones that already exist, how much more important could the new skyscraper?
Well, you're probably not going to get a new skyscraper, but like something like the Pritchard building, get that, help try to figure out how to get that thing fixed up. You're not growing in population where you can absorb you have a lot of vacant buildings still you have to absorb. So skyscraper is probably not an issue to y'all. But understanding, a lot of times people say to me, like, well, Joe, are you just saying you want skyscrapers all over the place? And it's like, no, let's do two-story buildings would be good. It's more to understand the potency of what you have going on. Do this like an economic MRI. It's just a CAT scan to see what's going on. But it's not, it's not about building a bunch of skyscrapers.
I've been to Asheville. They've got a very artistic and creative people there. Would you say that the artistic people drive revitalization or revitalization represents the creative people?
I think it's both. Which is probably a cheap answer to give you. It's like Asheville thrives on its authenticity. Any city thrives on its authenticity. So back to the corporation model, not to kind of be crude about that, but you think about businesses. You want to, an artist wants to be unique. An artist wants to compete against another artist and have a different product, have their own art thing going on. Cities are the same way. So don't totally rip Asheville off. Do your own thing here. But yeah, if you've got local creative talent, utilize that. Yeah, so at Asheville, we did a mural under the highway. We have Pritchard Park, the Downtown Association. We basically got Melanie. Melanie makes hula hoops. We got her DJ. And we have, she gives away 250 hula hoops on Tuesday nights in the summertime with a DJ. It's a big DJ hula hoop dance party. It's like she's one of our, it's the way that we see her. Melanie makes hula hoops, but as far as we're concerned, she's a business. She has every right to have access to people in the community and sell her hula hoops. That's awesome. So.
What do you think about our club wall? Is there a definite downtown half of it clubs? There's lots of beautiful.
Yeah, the flood wall is kind of a tricky thing. I think that you're better off having it. You could, but you've got a lot of missing teeth in your fabric already. You can start there. Think of places like New Orleans. New Orleans has that huge levee around its downtown. Very similar to what y'all have. It's like you don't even know that the Mississippi's right there until you get up on the levee and then you can see it. You can come up with creative ways to have more access, either through the wall or over the wall, so more people can get to it. But quite frankly, a lot of the buildings in that road, between the buildings and the flood area, the flood wall, are probably a bigger impediment than that flood wall is. It's like that crossing that road is, good luck with that. It's a bit of, that's its own barrier to the pedestrian environment. And I think there's lower hanging fruit. There's fixing some sidewalks and expanding the pedestrian feel of your downtown. Things we talked about before this presentation, connecting the university in with the downtown better, and getting some of these buildings occupied. I'd go after that before that flood wall. Anybody else?
Are you suggesting that we've got consumers and we're just not providing services that they want in these empty buildings? I'm afraid, I'm from here and I've seen the population dwindle. I'm 52, so I've watched it all go down. And we just don't have the people we used to have. What are you suggesting? It's only worth what you can get for it when you sell something.
When you say you don't have the people you used to have, how many people did you used to have?
I wish I could.
86, okay. When you had 86,000, how many people were in Cabell County?
100.
How many people are in Cabell County now?
100.
More than 100, isn't it? You have an MSA of
Not a lot. MSA, Ashland, the 100.
Yeah.
That's multiple counties.
Yeah, so a lot of your population has shifted out.
Population of Cabot County maybe 110.
Yeah. So at the very least, that's where you can find 10,000 people. It's not like you're losing population, you've actually shifted a lot of that.
Well, we used to have manufacturing here, more manufacturing, Corbin glass and, all aluminum bumpers and
We used to have towel manufacturing in Asheville, Cannon Towel Company, they're gone.
People move out when they lose their jobs. I'd like to see small-scale manufacturing come back and more people, but we just don't have the people to put services there for. There's no people to come and take our services.
Asheville started fixing itself, adding some pride in itself, and tourism is like a gateway drug to Asheville. So people come to Asheville, they're like, oh, how wonderful. They quit their job and move there. And they create a job when they get there. So they're either, they become a brewery, they become a tech company, they become something else, but there's people that want to be there. Now we have, there's a yeast company that's coming to Asheville from San Diego. They want to be there because we have beer. Awesome. More the merrier. Let's have more breweries. New Belgium Brewery, Sierra Nevada, moving to Asheville.
Cool.
So we started first by worrying about ourselves, making a nice place for us, and being a city. And the rarity of that drew other businesses to come to Asheville. So yeah, that's the ultimate irony. Like, where do you go on a damn vacation? Go to a city and wander around. Like, oh, look at this city. Most people.
Of course, Vanderbilt decided to attraction.
So I get that a lot, the Vanderbilt. We don't really care about the Vanderbilt. You know, it's like, it costs $50 to go in there and walk around somebody's property. The Vanderbilt controlled our economics because they had numbers. They had a little turnstile, you pay $50 to go into the Vanderbilt State. And I'm saying this as an architect, it's a pretty building. Incredible landscape architecture. And I get people today, I travel around the country, I get people like, I love Asheville, the Vanderbilt Estate's awesome. Like, did you go to downtown? They're like, no. And it blows my mind. Yet the numbers now, I get the opposite. So when I go around, people talk about downtown, they rarely go to the Vanderbilt Estate. Now the reason why we couldn't achieve any kind of common discussion with our Convention and Visitors Bureau is because I didn't have a turnstile on the downtown. So I couldn't tell how many people were coming downtown until the CBD did a tourism survey in the hotels, and they started asking people, what are you visiting on your trip? 75% of the people that come to Asheville in the region go through downtown. About 30% go to the Biltmore Estate. So the numbers are there. You know, it's like, people ask me, they're like, oh, it's because you have Vanderbilt Estate, you have the Blue Ridge Parkway. Putting the Vanderbilt Estate aside, Marion, North Carolina has the Blue Ridge Parkway, it has all the same parks that we have. It also has a downtown that looks very similar to where Asheville was. Y'all ever hear of Marion, North Carolina? Ever visit Marion, North Carolina? It's a dump. And they haven't done anything with their downtown, and therefore they get no one to visit it. So again, we just think about what cities are, and we just made a regular place.
How do you make it more financially attractive to people to build the downtown instead of tearing down the building, cheap buildings that up the code, meets all the specs, but the whole building has to be big?
A lot of that's historic preservation tax credits help. You can do that through tax increment financing. Do a delayed tax deferral. Iowa does that with their historic structures. Des Moines is actually a great lesson in that. They basically take a tax deferment on those buildings, and then 15 years later they just rise to the top of the cream. There's a million different policies. Part of it is supporting elected officials in difficult decisions on fixing buildings, discouraging them from tearing buildings down and putting in cheaper places, letting your politicians know that y'all don't approve of that. And then also supporting your leadership or becoming a leader, running for office, and supporting other models of